but we're really lucky to have Georg with us, who has attended all of the sessions in the arena. And we thought it'd be amazing to invite him to have the floor to share some of his reflections on what he's taken away from these past 2 days, both as a friendly face and a familiar face by this point, and yeah, and as a great mind to help us maintain this red thread throughout the past 2 days. So Georg, I saw you in here earlier. If you can feel free to unmute yourself and we can start a little reflection there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Can I have the screen?
Yeah, you're able to share your screen, or you should be able to. There we go.
Yeah, thank you for that opportunity. I'm very grateful, Sophia, that you found me and us when you were looking for initiatives in Berlin. I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet you all, which was great fun and deep impressions. On this German written sign, which is from a demonstration from Fridays for Future, it says not single measures, but system change. I was allowed to enter the house of the MEPs in Germany, in Berlin, when I had this sign to show, because people are afraid of system change. During the last 2 days, I have heard a lot about of system change and the wish that systems may change. On that very occasion, we presented a study on the problem of social housing and climate protection. It was for the first time that I noticed that there is a substantial connection between social aspects and sustainability, in this case, climate protection in housing, because the poor people live in small flats and they produce only a few tons of carbon dioxide, while the rich ones produce a lot of it. So this is clearly connected, and the poor ones shall pay for their refurbishment work, while the rich ones don't pay for it in society. That is the reason to show this picture. What I learned is that in this magnificent European project, you dealt in depth with the problem of injustice and sustainability. And you find a lot of aspects that I was not aware of. So thank you so much for the extensive material that you produced, for the different media that you used. It's very, very useful. When I thought about the findings, when I thought about the governance aspects you presented yesterday, it came to my mind that behind all these descriptions, there are governing factors or variables or influencing factors, you call it. You could call it. And I made the attempt from all your findings, not on the governance, but on the injustice subject, to find out which aspects may be behind, for example, spatial segregation or sustainability interventions or environmental burden, which is caused on certain groups, public investments, ecologic value. All these aspects, the first approach from my side to give an impression what influencing factors could be behind that. What we discussed so much yesterday, I called here governance quality. And I learned from you that there is more than the quality of governments, but governance is the whole process of organizing a society. Now, I learned from my collaboration with the German Institute for Community Organizing, which is also a part of our donut activities in Berlin, that we have to distinguish between the government, which is in power, and the simple people who are usually not in power. And if we want to change anything, we need to discuss how we get into power, and what it means to share power with others. For that reason, I added here another variable, which I called civil society, not only the government itself. Here I have listed up all the wonderful findings, how this governance could work, and how we as basic movements could also become a part of that governance. That was, to my understanding, also excellently done. Now, please let me give some thoughts about finding systems aspects. We have to distinguish between object level that has been discussed very much. But above that, there is a network level, how these objects are connected with each other. And even above that, we have the behavior of the system. And what we all want to address is a change of the system, but within the system which exists. I want to introduce a definition of sustainability, which is not the typical ecologic, economic, and social, but sustainability, an ability of a system which is made up of resilience, of autonomy, and of harmony. And my suggestion is, with this kind of definition, because maybe we are more convincing than using other aspects. You can take the presentation later and have a closer look on these, because this definition of sustainability relates to certain aspects of the system which we can analyze and take use of. Now, just to give a short introduction how this is used to analyze the system, which is called holistic system analysis. Here I have listed up variables from the analysis we made for the Scientists for Future. We started that last summer. We did it over the winter. We came to a validation phase. And in this matrix, you read how do activities of Scientists for Future influence the activities of the climate justice movements or the media sustainable development. And you can fill in all the impacts within this system, which I suggest you could do for the variables that I have shown before. And when you add up all impacts here in a line, and if you add up all the influencing activities for the same variable, you can draw a graph which looks like that. In this case, for climate change, it shows that government activities is a rather strong variable, but the sustainability of work is not a very strong variable. When you do it in that way, you get an impression what the role of the different variables in the system is. And after that, you can draw relations between all these variables, which are shown here. At first, it looks a bit surprising or upsetting, but the software that we use can give information on all these relations and on all feedback loops that you will find in this description. It helps to get an understanding what the single variables in this game have as impact. For example, here you see the role of the state, and you see how it influences the climate just energy supply or the infrastructure. And here you can see how finally the 1.5 degree target of Paris may be fulfilled. This was just an example and my suggestion how you could proceed to look at the different conditions in the different cities and look behind the aspects that you have found so far. And I'm happy to support you. We have used this for the Young Party Radical Climate here in Berlin to help them in establishing their election program. And we will do that for the Food Council of Berlin to find in the same way governing factors and a good strategy for their further work. Thank you so much.